What are ghosts? Ghosts are secrets. Ghosts are guilts. Ghosts are regrets. But most of the times, a ghost is a wish. What are ghosts to us Indians?
What's up guys, welcome to our channel Astarombha. This is Kaushik Chakraborty and I'm today finally back with a new video. Today I'll review the horror series Haunting of the Bly Manor, which was recently launched on Netflix on 9th October 2020. The series is directed by none other than Mike Flanagan. The series Haunting of the Bly Manor is second in the line of the horror series directed by Mike Flanagan after his famous hit series The Haunting of the Hill House. Guys, it was a masterpiece of Flanagan, The Haunting of the Hill House, to say. And that is literally one of the favorite horror series I have ever watched. If you haven't watched it yet, please go and watch it in Netflix. It is already available. It is just so very fascinating. That is my personal recommendation. Okay, so let's come back to the topic. This time, The Haunting of the Bly Manor is loosely based on the best-selling novel of Henry James, The Turn of the Screw. In the casting, we have our very favorite Victoria Pedretti as Danielle Dani Clayton, the protagonist of our story. And then we have Oliver Jackson-Cohen as Peter Quint, whom we have also watched in The Hill House. Just go and watch it, as I have said. And then we also have Tinia Miller as the housekeeper of the Bly Manor, and also Rahul Kohli as the cook of the Bly Manor. And then Amelia Eve as the gardener, or also Carla Gugino as the old gardener or old Jamie, who is completely narrating the whole story. That is the storyteller. Then we have Tahirah Sharif playing the role of Rebecca Jessel, the former governess of the Bly Manor. Then Amelia B. Smith playing the role of Flora Wingrave, and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth playing the role of Miles Wingrave. These two are the children and the residents of the Bly Manor. Then we have their mother's role, that is Charlotte Wingrave, played by Alex Essoeas. The uncle of the children was Henry Wingrave, which was played by the famous actor Henry Thomas. And then we have Dominic Wingrave's role, that is played by Matthew Holness. This was the main cast. Now in the recurring cast we find Roby Attal as Edmund O'Mara, and then Viola Willoughby's role was played by the famous actress Kate Siegel, and then Perdita Willoughby's role was played by Catherine Parker. Now, to begin with the synopsis. The story is all about an American young woman who is running from her past and is hired by a man to look after his niece and nephew in his country house, the Bly Manor in England. And as she reaches the Bly estate, she comes across uncanny and unnatural events happening surrounding her. And she also meets two creepy little kids. And her journey throughout is what is the subject matter of the story. Okay, so now to talk about the theme. The storyline is basically a horror gothic romance where we find horror and romance getting blended together beautifully. And basically this series has got a highlight, that is the relationship of the specified characters, their connection and their bonding is very beautifully portrayed. Every character has got a particular backstory which is very fascinating and which is very well executed by none other than Flanagan. But one thing which has to be mentioned is that unlike Hill House, the previous series which I talked about, it is not that much scary. And it has got a little less thematic depth in terms of if you compare it with Hill House. But overall, if you see it like with a balanced perspective, then it is a very alluring display of romance and horror getting blended together. Moving on to the cinematography, this is nothing but a classical series by Mike Flanagan, just like The Haunting of the Hill House, and James Neist, the cinematographer, was just excellently fabulous in this regard. Firstly, the editing is magnificent, like seriously. Every Each and every scene in the series is so beautifully connected with each other and executed so very well. Like, if you have watched The Haunting of the Hill House, then you can understand that there are several instances in this series, that is the Bly Manor, where Flanagan has tried to impose the connection or the link between the both of the series. This is basically a non-linear storyline, which is a bit rare for a series to adopt, but it is here in this regard. It is very beautifully adapted and also executed, as I have said. So there is a new thing introduced in this series, that is every character goes through an element that is memory hopping. They relive their experiences in the past. But this is interesting for some viewers, but according to some viewers, this becomes a little bit bleak somewhere, because the viewers may find it, confusing maybe to understand, because suddenly the scene changes and everything becomes so very shuffling. So how can you understand? If you don't watch the series with patience, then it is very much hard for you to understand. So I recommend you to watch the series chronologically and with a great deal of patience. According to you, what is the most important, like the second most important thing in a horror movie or a horror series? Yes, I'm talking about the visual effects and the background music. In this regard, that was just fantastic. The visual effects which were introduced in this series were magnificent, and also the background music, the eerie background music, adds to the elegance of the series, which makes it more eerie and yet soothing. Especially the lullaby, Oh Willow Valley. That is just a magnificent song I have heard. Literally, the tune was literally good. This song intensifies the depth and completes the story. The setting of an estate with the perfect element of English aristocracy can be very well observed in here. In terms of characterization, what you call acting, every one of them was very, very impressive. But still, to be precise, we have to mention actually, some of them were extraordinary. Firstly, we have Amelie B. Smith playing Flora Wingrave and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth playing Miles Wingrave. This brother-sister duo is fabulously portrayed, and their cuteness and their naturality adds an elegance to the story. The next in line is our protagonist, the character Danielle Dani Clayton, the role of whom was played by our favorite actress, Victoria Pedretti. The character Dani is a young woman who is loyal and dedicated towards her work, and also her relationship with the gardener Jamie is very beautifully portrayed by Pedretti. The next in line we have the gardener Jamie, whose role was played by Amelia Eve. This very woman was very desperate, smart and single in terms of her character, and this was very vividly portrayed by Amelia. Then we have the housekeeper of the manor, that is Hannah Grose, and the cook Owen Sharma. Both these characters were played respectively by Tinia Miller and Rahul Kohli. Both the characters were very important in the whole series, and especially to mention, Hannah Grose, the character was very kind-hearted and very understanding. And also the cook, which is played by Rahul Kohli, that character, that is Owen Sharma, that is also a very well-behaved and understanding gentleman. The relationship between these two characters is a very important and dynamic in-depth feature of the series. We also witness Oliver Cohen Jackson as the business assistant of Henry Wingrave, the man who is a charming and handsome gentleman, but turned out to be the bad guy of the story. We also have Tahirah Sharif as Rebecca Jessel, the former governess of Bly Manor, and then the relationship between these two. The relationship between these two is very vividly picturized by the actor Jackson and by the actress Tahirah. Their toxicity, their possessiveness in their relationship is very naturally handled. We also observe the famous actor Henry Thomas in the role of Henry Wingrave, the uncle of the two children Flora and Miles Wingrave. He is a barrister in London who is completely occupied with his job and is ignorant of what is happening in Bly, and is also fighting with his guilt of because of his deeds what he did in the past. And lastly, we have Viola Willoughby and Perdita Willoughby, respectively played by the famous actress Kate Siegel and Catherine Parker. Viola is an ambitious and desperate young woman who was the heir to the Bly and later turned out to be the ominous ghost, the Lady of the Lake. And Perdita Willoughby is also an ambitious woman who is irritated by her sister's behavior towards her. So, this overall series is very compelling with all its elements of horror, romance, and a wonderful storyline. This is highly recommended by Astarombha. But still, who must watch this series? That is a big question, right? For those who are a fan of hard-hit horror, please don't watch it because you'll find it very bleak sometimes because of the confusing shuffling, and also it is much less scarier than Hill House, which was previously aired. So I would recommend this series to a person who loves horror as well as loves a balanced storyline. Overall, this is a very balanced and very beautiful story. IMDb has rated it 7.7 out of 10 and Astarombha rates it 7.5 out of 10. That was all about The Haunting of the Bly Manor. If you think this video was helpful, please press the like button and do share it with all your friends who love to watch horror movies. And to remember, do subscribe to our channel or else the Lady of the Lake will surely haunt you in your wildest dreams. You don't want that, right? So do subscribe to our channel, Astarombha. Thank you for watching the video. We will be back soon with our new content. And to get more updates, follow us in our Instagram handle, The Astarombha. Until then, stay tuned, stay safe, and don't go out sleepwalking. Keep watching Astarombha. Thank you.